Hi, this is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald. Welcome to my Star Atlas Week in Review podcast. This is podcast number 100. Ooh. Any articles or videos mentioned can be found on my website at intergalacticherald.com. Please look for news recap number 148. So just a quick summary of things that happened in Star Atlas this past week. AFIA put out their newsletter and had one interesting statistic in there. The Rager Atlas Brew, or I guess they're back to being Rager after the winter break, talked about follow-up kind of on the announcement that the CEO, Michael Wagner, made. And then Thursday was a belated economic forum from the Star Atlas Econ team. Usually they do it earlier in the month, but again, because of the holidays, they did that. So that's what we'll be talking about today. But before I get to that, just a couple of things that I'm working on within the Star Atlas metaverse ecosystem. Anyways, in the Star Atlas DAO, they do have what are called PIPs, which are proposals for projects. I am proposing to create an in-person community meetup platform. So really appreciate any feedback or thoughts. If you go into the Star Atlas Discord, find the DAO area and then look for PIP ideas, PIP. You'll find that with my name and that thing. If you like it, I really appreciate a thumbs up. That'll help me able to move to the next phase in the proposal process. And then I do have two other projects I'm working on. One is my Star Atlas merch store called Intergalactic Gear. Of course, it's at intergalacticgear.com. So far, selling Star Atlas mugs. I do have a few posters. I haven't really fully... I'll go ahead and announce it here. They're based off of the original Star Atlas posters, which we have access to as part of the intellectual property, the IP builder program. So I'm taking all those posters and turning them into real-life posters. So there's different poster material from canvas to kind of photo prints to a metal print that are available, so you can actually look. I do have one of the images up, but I'm hoping to release the entire series. So don't have it on the main website, but if you dig around into the store, you can find them there. So on my main website, I do have a merch survey. So again, love to get any feedback on merch you might be interested in. I did receive a merch survey this past week, so I do appreciate that person for filling that out. And then the other thing I am working on, though it's very on the back burner, is setting up a Star Atlas community for people who don't want to join guilds but are still gamers, may not prefer the kind of structure of a Discord. Nothing wrong with Star Atlas Discord, it's still just Discord, so it's chats, things disappear, hard to follow what's being talked about. So I would like to create a different community on a different platform that's much more about threaded discussions. You can subscribe to chats and spaces and then get email alerts, so you can kind of not miss out on things but not have to check each time. So that's at intergalacticcoalition.com. There's an interest survey there. Once I have enough people that sound like they're interested, go ahead and start setting it up. It is a paid platform, or the platform is paid, so there will be a fee to join to help offset that cost. So now moving into the content, AFIA does always come out with a weekly newsletter, so highly recommend reading that. Subscribe if you want. You can check out my news recap for the link. But one thing they mentioned, and then it was reinforced later in the week, is it's been, I don't know the exact day, but it's been 4 years since Star Atlas officially announced Star Atlas. So I'm not sure if it was just the first post or that was the post that had the white papers. Anyways, I wasn't involved 4 years ago, so I'm not really sure. But there was a link to the original Medium article, and I actually read it, and it was kind of cool that, some of this stuff, so long as nobody deletes their data off the internet, you can still read it. So 4 years of Star Atlas. So anyways, a big milestone. The Atlas Brew this past week was a follow-up chat to Michael Wagner's announcement about some of the Solana blockchain issues, kind of taking the announcement that was in the Star Atlas Discord and providing a little more context. Additionally, one of the community members who's also on the DAO Council, Brian, shared some information because I guess he's a Solana validator, and I'm, again, not the expert on blockchains by any stretch, but he apparently has run and I think is running a validator that handles transactions. So it was really great to get some insight into that kind of perspective and how the whole thing, how everything kind of relates together. So if you're interested in learning more, putting some context on Michael Wagner's announcement and learning a little more about Solana, definitely a great listen there. And then on Thursday, the economic team, forget who's on it, but anyways, they did their monthly thing. Really good, really in depth. shouldn't listen to it right before I go to bed. But I think I've said that every single time I listen to it. So, but I'll get into a little more where I kind of putting a couple things together kind of made it realize why it's just doesn't sink in for me. But anyways, they did mention there'll be some new recipes, and I think it's related to the infrastructure contracts, but again, I was starting to nod off. So if you want all the details, look at that. Now, again, good thing I'll say, and probably part of the reason why I'm not paying as much attention is these have been great kind of previews of what's coming, and then the announcements comes, and so you figure out the exact thing, but you kind of knew some stuff was coming. So again, if you're kind of into the economy and changes related to the economy, it's a good listen. But as I'll go into a little later, now I realize where I'm not. The other thing that was mentioned was that the team is very well aware that the Solana fees need to be figured out, and this kind of ties back into Michael Wagner's announcement about different options and some things. So definitely high on the team's mind, so I think that was great. So both that was brewed in the Economic Forum, links to the recordings are on my news recap, and thanks again to StarOS TV for doing those live recordings. So we'll go ahead and switch to kind of my two topics. One is kind of my, again, weekly thoughts on the state of StarOS, and then kind of what my journey is playing StarOS. So given that it's 4 years since Star Atlas came out, I decided to go back and figure out when I first got involved in. And just to make it simpler, I'm going to say I started 3 years, but it was technically 3 years and 1 month, because I kind of purchased my first crypto related to StarOS in December of 2021. Right? 3 years. Yeah, so 3 years and 1 month as of now. So I'll just say 3 years because it's easy to remember. It's 1 year less than when StarOS came out. So again, 3 years. Yeah, still just kind of hard. But I guess that was near the end of the pandemic. I don't remember. Hard to put dates back in time. But anyways, so yeah, I guess I can definitely say I've been around. Not from the very, very beginning. Came in after all the posters were sold and things like that. But still, yeah, 3 years. A couple thoughts on the follow-up on Michael Wagner's announcement. He kind of, I think, said this because I wrote it down, that he definitely wanted to address some of the issues that the community was having, and the real key was to say that the StarOS team does have a plan, but sounds like, unfortunately, the community as a whole maybe thought this is more of, hey, this is what's going to come in next, as opposed to, hey, if we had to, Star Atlas could do this. So I said it's more about what could happen as opposed to what would happen. Not that it won't happen. So, but nevertheless, I think it was really good to hear. It does address, I mean, I was trying to do something in Faction Fleet this morning, and it just wasn't working, and apparently there's another meme coin that came out overnight. So, definitely at different points in the last 3 years, at least from my recollection, Solana's been fast, and then it's slow, and different things. And as we did the year in review with Beyond the Horizon, we both mentioned, or he mentioned, and kind of contributed that, yeah, last summer was pretty low. A lot of Solana problems back then. So again, as we look back, we can definitely see there's peaks and valleys related to Solana. And the team, as they have now said, are definitely aware of these issues, thinking about alternatives, but nothing is like a quick fix, I think was what Michael Wagner said. So again, I think it's all pretty good. Thought that came out in the DAO chat. So again, I'm kind of in there talking to other people, putting out proposals and replying back. And so it's really great because that's what I'm interested in. And what one conversation kind of merged and what I kind of grabbed onto was kind of the current target audience of Star Atlas. And I've been, and many other people have been saying, that Star Atlas just isn't really appealing to the small player and things like that. And of course, I've been pretty upfront that I'm a gamer, not really a crypto person, though I'm learning and, but I've been playing games for decades and things like that. But actually somebody posted, and it was actually Brian, again, same person who was on the Atlas Brew talking about Solana things. And he commented on somebody else's post that basically, we really need to be more focused on, and quote his words, but it's true, Web3 crypto bros. And again, in this context, that's, I don't think, derogatory. Crypto bros, just like tech bros, it's just description of that normally they're males. But I thought it was actually kind of really insightful, and I actually replied back to him, and he replied back because I said, so something about making content, which of course I'm thinking about as I do these podcasts and put stuff up on my website. And again, my guide on my website is really focused on beginners, but it's really me. So it was beginner gamers who didn't have any crypto experience. And he replied back on, well, what kind of content would Web3 Crypto Bros really be interested in? He said earnings and APR. So at first I was like, what's an acronym? And then it dawned on me, like, duh, it's finances, it's annual percentage rate. So your return on your investment, and of course earnings. So, I mean, they were kind of tied together, but I actually admit as it kind of sunk in and thought about more today, because I kind of saw it yesterday, I don't know. I'm actually starting to come around that this is starting to make a lot more sense. And again, we had the economic forum, and I said, sometimes I just don't get into it. If you're really into Sage and you're really trying to calculate your earnings and your average percent return, I use a business term ROI, things like that, economic changes are really critical because you have the wherewithal to have impact that. And of course, we just say, well, it's for the whales. And that's true because whales do obviously have more money to spend, bigger ships. But again, at some point, I should just make the time. We need definitions for sizes. But again, somebody who's investing or putting more, maybe we'll call it investing, putting more money in, because earnings and APR is about investing. Again, I'm not going to say that this isn't financial. I'm just saying what people are saying. I'm not telling you what to do. But it is kind of actually becoming a little clearer, and especially if you think about Sage. Sage is really the game of the Stardust economy. It is being run by the economic team. Now, I'm not saying there's no design and it doesn't have game point, it doesn't have lore and all that, but the changes, for example, local markets, well, that's to build out the economy, creating these things. And even something Chris said in the economic forum was about, well, we have to have, I can't remember if it was a eliminator, or anyways, the reason that SDUs have to exist is otherwise the economy would be open and I can't remember. See, again, I'm trying to, almost falling asleep. But anyways, these are still economic things, economic terms, and how we're doing things in different markets. And I mean, all of this stuff. And again, if you think about, quote, an average gamer who maybe is playing an RTS or playing a shooter or something like that, none of this is at all interesting because, again, and as we were seeing, especially what, Beyond Horizons doing a lot of the videos on what came out of the town hall, but I mean, that's the classic 3D environment. Could be racing, could be shooting, could be ship flying or whatever. None of that requires blockchain except to own the asset. And it definitely doesn't involve all the things we do in Sage, click here to do this and mine and move and sell and marketplaces. And so it was actually kind of, I think, really an eye-opener, but also it kind of fits in with what has been said, which is there are many different aspects to Star Oz. So yeah, some people will be just playing in the shooter or racing or exploring. Again, I've kind of said before, I kind of like to do the mining where I put my claim stakes down and develop my theme. Michael Widener said many times that this idea that you're going to do every role is just not what they've ever intended. You really have to be a specialist. And again, I think we're just trying to take old gaming styles and just assume that's what Star House is doing. And it has. But anyways, kind of trying to wrap this into some sort of coherent thought. But right now, yeah, a person with a couple $100 can do some stuff, but they're nowhere going to be able to really influence their style, again, if they're focused on things like earnings and return on investment and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, Web3 Crypto Bros makes a lot of sense. And again, they're not actually caring what the UE5 version looks like that. So I don't know. I think it was a really good thing. And it also kind of made me realize, again, that, I don't know, as much as I would love to encourage, quote unquote, small players, I'm thinking again of the word players as people who are investing. I mean, again, if I buy one stock, I'm not going to make, on the U.S. stock market, I'm not going to make much of a difference. But if I bought 1,000 shares, well, or 10,000 or 100,000, yeah, then things matter. And so I know we have a lot of different terms, but I am kind of thinking more and more that gamers, the term gamer should be related to playing kind of traditional type of games. So again, the shooter or the racer or maybe a space exploration. But there's just as likely an investor who is coming in just to put their money and get a return. And again, this is where the whole rental thing and stuff. And I don't think those have to be the same kind of thing, nor marketed the same, nor have the same experience. Sure, maybe we all own an NFT, but there. So it kind of also made me realize why, I could be patient on when I'm playing Sage and trying to do my goal of getting my Mamba X, but I mean, and I'll get to in a second, nothing's changed in a week. But that's okay, because I just don't have enough to play that point or be a player in that aspect of it, because again, you do need a much higher entry point. I don't know what it is, but anyways. So kind of the conclusion of all this, I think it was really helpful to hear that and then be immediately kind of pointing in the right direction for, oh yeah, they're going to be interested in different content. They don't care about graphic fidelity or video cards or whatever. And so, that maybe as of right now, quote unquote, small players, meaning not having a lot of money to put into the game, yeah, it's just really not for them. And as far as gamers, people want to play, definitely not for them, because it's 2D and things like that. So I don't know, just kind of evolving my realization that, we may talk about, there's all this stuff, but what do we have today? And the hard target audience probably isn't gamers, probably isn't a small player. Anyways, very, very interesting. So moving to last talk, I kind of alluded to it. So I'm still playing Sage, still trying to move all my carbon from one star base back to the Central Space Station. Slowly happening. Seems like I'm still burning a ton of fuel. I don't know. But I haven't had to put any more soul in, so I feel good on that. But I had to add some fuel, so still need to do the research, see if I should take advantage of local markets, but I haven't had the time. And I thought I would do it today, but that's not going to happen. So that's what I'm doing on there. So anyways, thanks for listening to all this. Again, totally open if anybody wants to be a guest. Different things. It was great doing the year in review with Beyond the Horizon, but don't have to be a 2-hour marathon discussion. It could just be the week in review. If you're a StarOS builder or content creator and you like to come on and just chat, love to. And again, any team members who want to talk, again, I always say beginners, but I would just say any intro topics, no matter what your focus. I'd love to hear that. Please go to intergalacticherald.com, look for my contact page, and you can submit there. And again, if you're interested in any Star Atlas merch, do have some mugs, starting to build out a poster series, collection, whatever you want to call it, intergalacticgear.com for that. And if you're interested in joining myself and other gamers who aren't interested in joining Star Atlas guilds, but nevertheless want to hang out, but kind of want to be more asynchronous and just come and go when there's something interesting to talk about, please go to intergalacticcoalition.com and fill out my interest survey. Other than that, thanks for listening. Have a great week ahead. This is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald.